I'm sure we've all been in this position before, sometime in our scouting career. You've got an email from a really angry parent, just moaning about something. Maybe they weren't aware of the trip or the visit or something like that. You're always going to get one of those parents that are just going to kind of moan. It's not an official complaint, so it doesn't need to go down the route of the DC, but they sent it to you, the section leader, or the group scout leader. How do you reply back to that email? Again, this isn't an email of complaint. It's just them venting that, the BB leader, Cub leader hasn't done what they want them to do. Something like that. How do you reply back to that really angry, aggressive email? And I hint, email, not a phone call. This is an email. Read that email and you think, actually, I'm going to reply back to them in the morning or the next day just because of things get in the way. And before you know it, it's been 48 hours, 72 hours, 3 days. And then you get another email from that angry parent saying, well, you haven't replied back to my email. How do you reply back to that second email? Well, what I would suggest is reply back and just say, thank you very much for email. Information's been read and taken on board. But I just want to remind you that we are volunteers. We also work and we will try and answer that email as soon as we can. If you don't hear back from us by 24 hours or 2 days or whatever you want to put, and just reiterate that we're volunteers, we're working, we've got a family life, and we will reply back to the email as soon as we can. It's just wrong timing at the moment because of work, shifts, that kind of thing. Biggest advice, you get that email and you think, what? I've spent so much trying to plan that program, that meeting, that camp, and you get an email from a parent moaning. Stop. Do not reply back to that email when you are angry and your blood pressure is at boiling point. There's a good quote out there where you have a brew and a good night's sleep, calm down, and then reply back to it the next day. Never, ever reply back to WhatsApps, texts, or emails when you're just wound up, because you're going to write something that's going to get you into a little bit of trouble, and you might regret saying something, or you might say something when you're so angry that you wouldn't normally say when you're nice and calm. Could do it. I've done it before. Ignore the email. Delete. Oops. Went in the spam box. Sorry. Another one you could reply back saying, thank you very much for the information that's taken on board. I'm going to speak to the leaders, and then ignore it. That's another good tip. Sometimes the emails are just the parent wanting to vent because they're running late from work or stuck in traffic and they've got to the scout hut late, and so sometimes it's just best to ignore those emails. Could use the classic line, well, if you think you can do better, come on board. Come and see how fun it is to be a scout leader and see how much work we do behind the scenes as well. So sometimes the parents don't realize, one, that we're volunteers. We don't get paid for this, so remind them. And there is a lot of time and effort and resources and, just lots of stuff that goes into making a really fun scout program, and parents don't see that. So maybe try and get them on board and see, come and see it. It's good fun. But my ultimate advice from replying back to that angry email or WhatsApp or text where the parent's just venting at you. Like I say, it's not an official complaint. They're not complaining that you've got to investigate it and send it to the DC. It's just that kind of weekly moan that you might get from a parent who's just tired and had a bad day and they want to take it out on you. Give them a call. Pick up the phone. The reason is, one, you might have misread that email. Texts, WhatsApps, emails can be misread. There's no tone of voice. There's no body language. So you might have read it in an angry voice, where in fact, the parent didn't mean it in an angry way. They were just saying X, Y, Z. So if you can phone them or speak to them face to face next week at the Scout Hall and just have a quick 5-minute, 2-minute chat explaining the email, the parent might say, oh, no, I didn't mean it like that way. Or you can explain the reasons why you've taken the steps that you've done. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes emails, texts, WhatsApps can be misread. So just do a favor, pick up the phone and speak to that parent. That's probably my best advice in all of these tips that I've given you. Speak face to face to that parent and just try and understand where they're coming from and where you're coming from. And hopefully you'll meet in the middle and agree whenever that problem was. Yeah? Scout Leaders, how would you deal with that? Maybe we'll deal with it in a completely different way and maybe pass the buck, pass it on to the GSL, get them to reply back to the email. Let me know. Comment below. I'd love to know how we scout in different ways and how we deal with scenarios. See you next time here on Big Man in the Woods.